everybody, Mike Dillard here from Magnetic Sponsoring, and we're at the Oasis here in Lake Travis in Austin, Texas. And I've got with me a friend of mine, Dave Evans, who's the author of Social Media Marketing in an Hour a Day. And this is a book I probably found about a month ago from a reference from David Gonzalez real quick, if y'all want to shoot him real fast.
Hey.
You can find David on Twitter. He's got a large following there. He's here in Austin as well.
Dave Gonzalez.
And this is probably it is the most thorough book ever written on social media marketing. It's kind of like the Bible for all of us who are learning this topic right now. And we're lucky enough to have Dave here in Austin with us. So we brought the whole team down here, and we've been having lunch and talking about, how to utilize social media in the future of marketing. And so I thought we'd pull Dave aside for a couple of minutes and let him share his wisdom with all of you. And I didn't want to waste this opportunity and not share it with everybody out there in the internet world. So, thanks for doing this, Dave. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And real quick, go to Amazon, pick up a copy of Dave's book immediately. Like I said, it will paint an unbelievably detailed picture for you on how to use social media to build your business, push forward your agenda. And, Dave, you'll talk about that a little bit more in detail now. But
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
The book and the approach that I took to the book is a very practical, very hands-on book. There's actually 55 one-hour exercises in the book that walk you through looking at blogs, setting up a Twitter profile, the importance of a complete profile. I talk about things like transparency and disclosure, the kinds of things that will keep you out of trouble on the social web, because the social web really is fundamentally different from maybe some of the advertising and so on that you might be used to doing. In the initial sections of the book, in part 2 in particular, I talk about a couple of big things. One of them is the social feedback cycle. If you think about your purchase or your sales funnel, and we have awareness and consideration and purchase, what happens on the social web is after purchase, people start talking about it, and that conversation folds back, not at the awareness point, but it folds back at the consideration point. In other words, you put your message out there, people become aware of it. The very first thing that they do is they start polling their friends and looking for information about whether what you said holds water or not. And they're going to find that on the social web. That conversation follows the actual use of your product. So in other words, where you have traditional advertising, and I'm in charge of the message, and I tell you this is great, and I put it in a whole bunch of places, and you believe that it's great, and then you go out and you buy it, and you find out that it's great or it's not so great, you form your opinion. 20 years ago, there wasn't really a way to get that opinion around. There was word of mouth, there was direct contact, and so on. Well, now we have this thing called the social web, and it connects all of us together. And so my experience with a product travels very fast to everyone else. That means that information is available directly to you, directly to your customers, and so on, to make a decision about whether or not to actually buy your product. And if you think about that basic feedback cycle, that's where the social web is so powerful from a marketer's perspective. So I spend a lot of time on that in the first couple of, the second part of the book, in the first couple chapters of part 2, and we talk about that, and I give you a couple of very practical techniques to understand what people are talking about, how to understand the experience that you're creating, and so on, so that you have the absolute best possible experience from your customer's perspective, so that they will go and talk about you. That leads us right into recommendations. I talk a lot in the book about the Net Promoter Score, and this very simple question, this idea of, will you recommend me? How likely are you to recommend me? 0 to 10. 0, I probably won't recommend you. 10, I would absolutely recommend you. Obviously what you want are the 10s, right? And we talk about how to get those. Then we get into part 3 of the book, and part 3 is the part that everybody sort of focuses on initially, but again, it's really that part 2, it's that foundational stuff that's so important. Part 3, I take you through Facebook and MySpace and Twitter and all of the different places where you can go express yourself and where your customers are expressing themselves through social media. We talk about blogging, we talk about policies, we talk about, again, transparency and disclosure, and these things that are so important to using this channel correctly. By the time you're done with part 3, which is really the longest stretch of the book, you've covered all of the primary social media channels, you've covered all of the different content formats, videos and podcasts, and the microblogs like Twitter and blogging and so on. You've covered support forums and the use of community software, all that kind of stuff. You've seen it all firsthand. You've done an exercise based on each one of these things, and so on. So you've really got in your head now, this is the social web. From part 2, you've got, this is how it works in my business, and you can now sit down, and then in the concluding sections of the book, I walk you through metrics, how to measure what's going on, and how to formulate an actual strategic plan for your business. So you've got this holistic view the social web. You have this holistic view of all the tools and channels that are available for you, and you can pick the 2 or 3 that make sense for you, that you want to engage in, that are powerful for your customers, and then you can go and put those to work.
You know, one of the most important things that I want to share with everybody watching right now, because we've made this a very large priority in Magnetic sponsoring this year, and that's why we're here. We flew down 12 people into Austin to spend all weekend talking about social media and how we're going to use it in our company this year, and that's why we're having lunch out here with Dave as well. But it can totally destroy your business, or it can totally transform it in a very positive way. And the biggest mistake that I see home business owners in particular making is that they love the idea of social media, especially if they're just getting started, because it's free traffic, or at least there's the promise of free traffic, right? It doesn't cost any amount of money to get involved with Facebook or MySpace or Twitter, but they don't have a game plan when they start using this stuff, and they end up spending hours and hours a day making posts, posting videos, posting pictures, wishing everybody a happy birthday, and then expect that to build their business and turn into sales, turn into distributors, and it doesn't happen that way. And there's probably a lot of people watching this who've said, oh, yeah, that's what I've been doing as well, and it hasn't been working. So how do you make a blueprint that will allow you to meet your goals of building your business and make sure your time is effectively used? Because I'll tell you what, you're never going to build anything or make any money if all you do is spend all of your time every day on social media, interacting with people. You know what I'm saying? It's hard for me to articulate.
Exactly. The way that I think about this is when you walk into a party and you just start talking about yourself, you very quickly find that no one's listening to you, right? When you walk into a party and you take the time to listen to what other people are saying, you introduce yourself to a couple people, you find some people that you have something genuinely, in common and are interested in, you have these great conversations. Well, the social web works exactly the same way. And when I see people, on Twitter, for example, I'll get a notice from somebody, Joe Smith is now following me. So I go to Joe's post and it says, checking out Twitter, here's 5 things about me, here's 5 posts about me, look at my business, look at this, and it's, what am I going to learn from this, right? What is in that for me, right? I want to know who Joe is, what Joe's having problems with, what Joe's working on, what Joe finds exciting. Does Joe go sailing on the weekends? I mean, tell me about this person, right? Let me learn from you, right? And so on. I want that engagement out of this conversation, not just I have 2 business opportunities, or I have this, or here's me, or I'm checking out Twitter, or it's like, again, go back to the walking into a party. How would you get people to pay attention to you? And you listen to other people, you genuinely engage, you find things that are interesting, and then you talk about those things. That will bring you the results that you're looking for when you take the social web and social media marketing techniques and apply those to all of the other things that you're doing to build your business. I mean, one of the things that goes without saying, just kind of to point it out, is this is one aspect of the overall operation of a business. You need a business plan, you've got to be running your business, there are all kinds of promotional tools that you can use and so on when you think about how I promote a business. Social media is one more piece of it. Social media based marketing is one more piece of this. And it fits very naturally, and if you think about that purchase funnel and the social feedback cycle and how those things fit together, you see where these conversations become so critically important.
Yeah, and again, that's why I love this book so much, is because you leave a blueprint in place for everybody, last section of the book, on how to dominate social media for whatever niche you're in 1 hour a day. And in my personal opinion, if you're spending more than 1 hour a day in social media, you're not building a business. Those are tasks that need to be outsourced, because your time is worth money, and you have to put your personal time into the activities that are going to bring in the biggest return on your investment. And social media right now is very intangible. The results that you can get back from it, unless you're tracking it, which you go over in the book on how to do that, for most people in this industry, it's completely intangible. They're not seeing, they don't know what the return on their time spent on it was directly. There are ways to measure that. But again, that's critical, and that's why I love your book, Dave, because again, blueprint, 1 hour a day, dominate any niche you want in social media, and that's why we're using it for Magnetic sponsoring as well this year. So we're getting slow on time here. I think we're about to hit our 10-minute limit. So thanks for the time.
Oh, you bet, Mike.
And
thank you.
Again, guys, Social Media Marketing in an Hour a Day by Dave Evans on Amazon. Go pick up a copy.